It's your boy ConcertViz34, and as I said on my Twitter, running a little late today, literally because I slept in, didn't work out, got my workout, showered, ate. I'm good to go for this video. Dave Matthews Band announces a fall tour for 2018. I'm calling it a winter tour because it is winter weather, but obviously winter technically does not begin until December 21st. So maybe I'll change the title back by the time I post this. But let's talk about the tour. Let's talk about my thoughts. Let's talk about what to expect for these shows. Let's talk about the pricing. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is those friends in the Midwest, those friends in the West Coast are going to be disappointed. Why are we not getting shows? I'll tell you exactly why. First off, the Midwest and the West are too spread out, okay? The benefit of this tour is in 2 to 3 hours in many of these locations, they can hit up 2 of these venues. So if you drive from Madison Square Garden all the way to the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut to Boston, that's the same distance that you're gonna have to travel minimally to get from one Midwest city to another. But you can hit 3 different shows within that time frame for moving equipment, for the band's travel. This is a beneficial tour so that the band has limited travel. All these cities are scrunched in the Northeast and part of the Mid-Atlantic and part of, obviously you have the Northern New England shows in New Hampshire, and then you have Albany, New York is not in New England, but it's really up there, right next to New England. And then you have the Montreal show as well after Boston. So you have really, it's Northeast based for a reason. Benefits the band. It benefits the travel for the tech guys. They get in, they get out, they do these shows for the fans, and they go back home for the holidays for their, whatever they got to do at the end of the year. So this is beneficial to the band. And remember, Tim Reynolds is going to be touring as well in November. So they're not going to fly from, New York City all the way to Chicago, and then from Chicago to San Jose or to LA. It's just too complex for them to, it's too much, it's too draining for them to do that. So that's why you're not getting shows. It is what it is. But you know what? If you live in the West Coast, hey, you live in the West Coast. You have better roads. You have beautiful weather, even in the Northwest compared to what we have here in New England. And you don't have to live in the Northeast where the traffic is crazy because of the roads. We got potholes everywhere, and we got a bunch of taxes, although I guess technically Cali, y'all got some taxes too. Anyway, it is what it is. Deal with it. There's plenty of other stuff to do in the West Coast, plenty of amazing things to do in the Midwest. Better food in the Midwest as well, outside of the pizza. We got better pizza here. Your deep dish is overrated. So live with it. And that's really the biggest debacle for a lot of fans is, well, why are there no shows in Florida? Well, Florida is in the East Coast, but again, by the time you drive from West Palm Beach to Tampa, that drive alone, there's 2 or 3 different cities in this tour that take the distance between Tampa and West Palm Beach. Again, it's too much. Again, they would have to fly stuff down. They'd have to either drive or really bust it to get down. This is a quick, short quarter leg of what usually is a leg 1 of a tour. So it is what it is. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, if your city did not get a show in the Northeast, or your venue that you thought was going to get one didn't get one, like on Long Island, think about how hard it is to book a show in the winter. There are hockey events going on. There are basketball events. There are tournaments. I'm surprised they got 2 MSG shows. MSG this time of year, you got the Billy Joel residency. You have a bunch of different college basketball one-off events or 2-night events for that. You have other concerts. You got the Rangers and the Knicks also. And that's why in 2012, they had to play at the Barclays Center. There was just too many things booked. They must have really started to work on this earlier on in the year, or really tried to make this work to get back-to-back nights, which is hard to get at MSG this time of year. So if you live in the Northeast, you live even in Canada, if you live in Toronto, there probably was a Maple Leafs game or a Raptors game, or just it wasn't easy to travel out there and come back for the next show, with, like, down to Philly or DC and Seaville for the end of it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Next thing I want to talk about is the pricing. Now, many people will agree, many people will disagree. I want to first talk about the positive. The positive about the pricing is a $115 ticket is a steal for the best seats in the house for the pit. That's a good deal. I'm not going to knock that. What I don't like is $85 to sit at the top of the TD Garden, of Madison Square Garden, of the Wells Fargo Center. Wells Fargo Center for hockey holds 20,500 people on average or so. When I've been to Flyers games there, it is packed. To be at the top of that venue, still an amazing venue to see a sporting event, for a concert, and you're paying $85 to be in the rafters all the way at the back of the back, that's too much. There should have been some pricing for the upper nosebleed seats. And I understand the first couple rows of the upper deck, but there should have been a $65 cost or a $50 cost for those really bad nosebleeds. Not every seat, but for a lot of those seats up high for some of those bigger venues. That's the knock I have on this tour and I had the knock on the night before, and even, kind of that one-off show, and even the other stuff with the price raising. You get screwed over if you just want to get into the doors to see D&B now. You get benefited if you want to get a nice seat, because $115, again, I understand that's not bad at all. And some people I've talked on D&B Family on Twitter or whatever, some people are saying, well, Justin Timberlake is, $200, $300, or this band is this amount, Journey is this, Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen is this, that. Okay. But the one thing about D&B, the reason I think 85 is too high, first off, you don't have an opener. Maybe they add one for this tour. It's not going to be a Bella Fleck and the Flecktones or Roots, Ben Harper like they used to have back in the day. It's not going to be a top-notch artist, in my opinion. So you don't even have to pay a really good opener or an opener on the rise like they used to have. They had Head in the Heart as well, or and other bands like that on the come up that they were opening with for some of these shows. You don't have to pay them. You don't have dancers. You don't have pyrotechnics and fire, other stuff, explosions going off. You don't have many wardrobe changes, things like that. You have a screen in the back, sure. You have lights, those cost money. But you don't have an expansive set. And that's why some of these tours that are productions cost more. A Kenny Chesney, a Luke Bryan, a Jason Aldean. They got some stuff going on those shows. Yes, it's the same set list every night, but they got some stuff that makes it so, okay, these tickets are this amount. And even those artists, you can get in the door maybe for 85 or less. And one of the things I looked up, Billy Joel, the cheapest seats, now these are like side view or partially obstructed seats. You can get into a Billy Joel show for Madison Square Garden for $65. Those tickets are sold out quick because, again, they're the value seats. So you can't find them online today for next month's Billy Joel show. But they start at $65. Bruce Springsteen for Broadway, even though those are sold out across the board, $75. That's $10 cheaper than D&B. And D&B is an amazing, they play 3 hours, they have different sets. The sets ain't that different. They stick the same stuff in for the most part. You go to 3 different shows nowadays. You go to 2 different shows. They may repeat Samurai Cop at both those shows. They may repeat a couple others. But they're an amazing band, which I love. It's one of my favorite bands and the artists I've seen, the band I've seen the most. But I mean, you go and see Elton John. You go and see Billy Joel. You go and see Bruce Springsteen. These are once in a generation. Although they're all from the same era, these are the top cream of the crop of their generation. D&B is, to me, one of my favorites from the 90s to come out of the 90s, but they're not obviously they're not like Elton John or Billy Joel level. So the money they're charging is ridiculous. And again, you go to see a Journey show, they probably have a Def Leppard there. You get to see 2 amazing bands. One, co-headlining. You're not getting that. You're getting D&B and maybe, if that, another artist. Many times you don't. So that's why I think the pricing is ridiculous. The other thing that's a concern is the GA floor is not the entire hockey rink or the entire basketball court. They have actual seats on the floor. They have a GA pit. Some of these pits are going to be, like I looked at Mohegan Sun, where I plan to go in Connecticut, a 500 person pit. Okay. And behind that are floor, like actual seats. I think it should be an open floor. You get more fans in. And also, if you want to be at the back and move around, you can move around. And everyone gets to kind of move up and you have space at the back. I don't like GA floors because A, chairs are a pain when they're on a flat surface. And then you got to get in, get out, an aisle, all this stuff, walking through, versus a GA standing floor like they had in 2012. It gets more fans in. I remember going to Mohegan Sun for the show, and at the back of it, you have open space if you need your space. You have up close if you want to be up close, and everyone gets access to get there early to get seats up close. I mean, a standing spot up close. You can stand in the middle and you're completely fine. Stand off to the side and you're fine, and you can show up whenever. And then at the back, if you just want to chill, relax, have your space, but feel like you're on the floor and you're close to the action as feeling on the floor versus being higher up, you have that ability as well. So I think that it should have been an all GA floor. I don't like these seats on floors at all. I like elevated seats or a GA standing area completely. So that's something that I think they could add more fans. The other concern I have is, are they going to have platinum tickets? They have premium warehouse packages, $300, but you get a poster, you get a laminate, you get all this stuff. Are they going to have platinum seating tiered on to everything else? That's my biggest concern. We saw this with SPAC. We saw this with Hartford. Every venue pretty much. They had seats for SPAC that were $600, $700 on the primary. And by the way, Live Nation is now selling these platinum seats for $700. Then they're now telling, as we saw last week, they're letting brokers use their bots to buy these tickets, and then they're saying, "Yo, resell them on Ticketmaster." And even if they don't have the Ticketmaster exchange, we clearly found out last week again with the report that they're not going to cancel out many of these brokers' tickets, nor are they going to go after bots. The state of New York will go after people that use bots, but Ticketmaster will not. So if all these brokers go online with their programming, and they still have it, I mean, they may be wary of New York City and Albany for those shows at the Garden and then the Times Union Center, but they're still going to use it. And then, what's going to happen? Either way, I think fans are going to be screwed over because of that. Unless Ticketmaster really is truly going to live up to their word. Live Nation is going to truly live up to their word. Live Nation owns Ticketmaster. I don't know. And that's my biggest concern. If everything is $115 across the board for the lower level, I can handle an $85 ticket in the rafters for a Mohegan Sun, for a Southern New Hampshire University Arena show, for a Times Union Center. Patrick Brewer is going to be out in D.C. I need to get back out to D.C. That's just one of these days I'll try to get a show up there. I got family in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, in between D.C. and Baltimore. But, I mean, I hope that they don't have that. The other thing here is the set list. What are we going to see? I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same exact thing we saw in 2012. A lot of Come Tomorrow, because Away from the World was played heavily. And a lot, it's funny because the people in the Midwest and the mountain time zone and out in Cali all year, they're like, hey, we want more Away from the World. I'm like, bruh, did you go to the 2012 winter tour? And they didn't because it was in the East Coast. We literally got every song which was nice because we got Broken Things, but I really don't think there's a Broken Things. I love Can't Stop. I love Again and Again. But there's not a must, like that song is straight flames like Broken Things was to hear live at Mohegan in 2012. So I would hope they scale back down, but it's a touring year. You're going to get a bunch of that. I'm going to try to get tickets to Mohegan, and I know it's going to be, again, a cookie cutter set for the most part, but I hope they just give us one special surprise. To me, I'm just going to get one last taste of the band. Mohegan is a great venue for me to drive to. Plus, they got a Krispy Kreme there. They got a Frank Pepe's Pizza. I'll put a video up, even if I don't go, for some stuff to go. But Mohegan is dope if you do get tickets there. I'll give you some out-of-town advice if you're coming from out of town, since, I've been to Mohegan a bunch of times, going to college right outside of where that's located, and then going to shows from here. I live about an hour away. That's it. I'm getting under 15 minutes. Your boy Conservative 34. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. 14:56. I'm ending this, so it's not a long video. I'm out.